Dead Space Remake. We're back to Ishimura again, 15 years late. I'll speak about the entire franchise here, Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3. Is this remake of Dead Space really worth it? The current price for a 15 years old game just with better graphics. 60 is a lot. Should you play old Dead Space games? Let's talk about it in detail. When Dead Space 1 that you're currently looking at, when it was out 15 years ago, it revived the entire horror survival genre, and it was true survival horror, probably the best survival horror ever created. That's what Dead Space 1 is. It had way much more impact, it was way much more atmospheric than those old school horror survivals Resident Evil likes. This game was made for it to be claustrophobic, dark, and graphics of old still work today. It's a scary game, especially for your first run. Now that aside, it's a very short game. Extremely short game, especially when you know what you're doing. So is it worth it? $60 for a remake and better graphics and a tad bit more of a gameplay? Okay, gravity is changing how it works. If you are a new player, if you were born in 2000s, okay, and you never got to play Dead Space, and now the Dead Space remake is out, then it's worth $60 for you. If you're older like I am, and I'm 36 years old right now, I played it on day one and it was impressive, one of a kind experience, okay, but truth to be told, it ain't worth it for me. Okay, it's only better graphics, it's way too much. There are tons of games that require remakes more than Dead Space 1, it still looks good, so why the remake that? There are games like Legacy of Kain series, Soul River, okay, those need remakes, those are very old. Dead Space is still good. So what are the main differences between Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3? Dead Space 1 is a true survival horror shooter where Isaac was a mute. Now he received a voice actor, everything is way much more Hollywood-like. You do not feel as alone as you did in the original in this upcoming remake, and it's coming out today. In Dead Space 2, probably the best Dead Space, there were so many different cinematics, so many action scenes, so many surprises. The story was out of this world. Graphics were so freaking underrated, okay, because the game looks freaking amazing even today, and that's like 11-12 years later. Well, Dead Space 3, an extremely underrated game, turned out to be a third-person shooter, and people were claiming how the horror elements were out for Dead Space 3. They were not out, okay? We just got used to Dead Space and to necromorphs. We got used to their surprises, to horrors, to action scenes, and then Dead Space 3 didn't go as well as Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. That's the entire difference. It's not a worse game, we've just seen it all, and they started to repeat themselves, same like Souls, okay? Dark Souls 1, brilliant. Dark Souls 2, a bit lower. Dark Souls 3, holy shit, we already seen it 10 times already. And then comes Elden Ring. You get used to the certain game, to the certain playstyle, and then you see it different. Now, all of that aside, how would I do it if I'm on your spot? All Dead Space games are still worth playing. They're all impressive, 1, 2 and 3. And now we got a remake, a very expensive remake, cash grab remake. What should you do? You go and you buy on sale Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 if it's your first run. Play them, enjoy them, they're extremely good. They gonna offer you combined maybe like 20-30 hours, depends on the difficulty you're playing with, all parts combined. And when Dead Space Remake is on a huge sale, and it will be very soon, you know, like for 20-30 bucks, then you go ahead and buy if you wanna see better graphics. Okay, it's not about graphics that much in Dead Space. It's about music, about the sound effects, about the horror scenes, about surprises, about surviving. Okay, and then it's the graphics. Now, is it worth 60 bucks? No, it's not. It's just not. We need new titles, new names, new games, even Dead Space 4. But remakes, remasters, redo, redes, read that. Like, it's enough. It's really enough. That's cash grab. Again, only buy Dead Space Remake if you never played Dead Space games. Plus, I think you get Dead Space 2 for free, and that's worth it. Probably you're gonna like Dead Space 2 even more than Dead Space 1, because Dead Space 2 is, we can easily say, more immersive, with a lot more action, but Dead Space 1 is really a game that revived the entire third-person horror survival, the entire genre. And Dead Space 1 is one of the most unique experiences in video gaming history. That's how great the game was. This remake, I don't have a doubt that it's gonna be good, just ain't worth it. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about Dead Space. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.